I think the first one relates to the perceived quality of the journal, both in terms of the peer review and editing process, but also in terms of the prestige of the journal, how highly it's regarded in the discipline and in the field, and for some colleagues that includes considering things like citations and impact factors. So there's a real task for us to reassure colleagues on that front, and of course to point out that quite rightly in the research excellence framework, the journal in which work appears is not a consideration in the assessment of the quality. So there is that concern as well. I think secondly, there's a need just to raise wider awareness of different types of journals and how they operate. I think certainly in relation to open access, colleagues want to understand the pricing implications or the cost implications where costs arise. But also, I think, again, they want to be reassured that publishing the work in these journals will make sure that their research is widely available and it's read by key colleagues in the field. So, in essence, I think that's one of the big things. With any culture change, it's a shift towards colleagues recognising why there are advantages to a new model for themselves individually. That's at the individual level. I think there's also a challenge about the wider picture, if you like, which is why I'm so pleased that the N8 has taken the position it has. It really tries to bring our research community, and not just academics, all those that are involved in the research community, with us in understanding that for all of us collectively, a new approach to academic publishing is beneficial for universities in terms of the costs and the sustainability, beneficial, and I think recognising the amount of work that goes into all stages of the publishing process, a lot of which is not remunerated in terms of academic contribution, but also I think certainly around open access as well, us managing to deliver what I think we all wish to deliver, which is ensuring that the work is available to as many potential readers as possible. And that, of course, includes a readership that is currently excluded from accessing much of our research because of the commercial charges that might be applied to them in doing so. I think the career progression is a key factor when colleagues consider what journals to publish in. I think impact factors can be one element of that, but essentially it is about normally the reputation of a journal and the reach of that journal as well. And in most disciplines, there are kind of embedded journals that are seen to be the top journals in their field, and therefore, understandably, many colleagues wish to have the work published in those journals. So I think we always need to accept that. And also we need to try to encourage colleagues to recognise other ways of recognising and rewarding high quality research. But undoubtedly there is a challenge there. So whilst I can say from my own personal position that we at Sheffield would assess the quality of the work in any career progression mechanisms and not just the journal it was published in. For example, we don't require information about impact factors to be included in promotion cases. I make the point about that being aligned with the way that the Research Excellence Framework operates and its assessment of quality. Nonetheless, it's far easier for somebody in my position to advocate for that approach, to also recognise the challenges that colleagues may face and the risk they may feel they're taking in publishing in other forms of journals. And of course, I think there's a need to recognise that whilst I think we have a very particular and I think correct approach at Sheffield, that's not necessarily the approach that all institutions take. So I recognise that colleagues need to consider their wider career progression and recognise that different types of institutions apply different criteria, and therefore that does influence the publishing choices they choose to make. I think there's at least three components of that. Firstly, is just access to expert advice. At Sheffield, we're very fortunate to have the um, open research team in the library and elsewhere. And we do have people who are very expert at understanding the different models of publishing practices. And I think that's the first resource we need to provide, that colleagues can get individual support and advice on the type of publishing they wish to pursue. I think, secondly, we need clear policies. I'd be very clear the university supports the move to a more sustainable publishing model. And as I said slightly earlier, that we would not disadvantage colleagues in making those choices. So there's a need for colleagues to be able to access general, if you like, advice and support and guidance to complement the more specific bespoke support they would seek to access. And I think the third thing that's really important is absolutely facilitating and enabling and then showcasing best practice, so that our colleagues recognise that it's not simply something that's coming from the top of a university or a particular community who are really committed to open access and open research practices, but in fact it's their own peers who have developed new approaches, innovative approaches, and they can show it can be done. It can be done in innovative and exciting ways, and of course, equally, that it's not been detrimental to their own careers. So I think a mix of those three tools or resources will hopefully help our colleagues to engage more confidently in open and sustainable publishing practices.